What is the best dating advice you've ever received? From Bojack Horseman. When you look at someone through rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags. If you put someone on a pedestal, you force them to look down on you. That's why I only go after short girls. You're both going to be nervous, and you're both going to say stupid things on the first date. Humor those things, and don't let them control the date. First dates have a different grading scale. Anything short of gunplay is a success. You don't owe anyone a date/relationship. Yes, S/T may be a nice person, but if you're not attracted to them, you're not attracted to them. Nice isn't enough. A breakup is not a negotiation, and you can break up with someone for any reason at any time. Don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy. Exercise a lot of caution around someone who has an extensive list of people who have wronged them. It won't be long until you're added to it. If she's always on her phone when you see her, but takes hours to reply to your texts, she's not interested, bro. Likewise, if she can't put her phone down for an hour, she isn't worth your time. Most of the time mixed signals means no. Or, I don't know what I want, and I'm a mixed up person, in a mixed up part of my life, or a flake. All of the above indicate that it's often best to move on. While you absolutely don't want a one-sided relationship as a whole, you don't have to be perfectly fair for everything. Things like who drives more, or who pays more, or who plans what to do, or who initiates intimacy can be skewed to one side. A good relationship should be split 60/40, with both people trying to be the 60. Treat a first date like making a new friend. Try and ignore anything sexual, and you'll have a much more relaxed atmosphere. I break this rule with a goodnight kiss, so they know I'm interested. You can't control your partner. Your partner will do things you don't want them to. You just have to decide what's a deal breaker. This one's really important, but requires a certain level of maturity and security. Don't beat around the bush and try to win a girl over with subtle hints. Just go tell her you like her. Even if she says no, she will still respect you above all the other men who don't have the balls to approach her. Cousin. Well, I still don't have the balls though. What on earth is going to happen after she said yes? I'm so afraid of awkward silences. Gosh. Here's a quick story about awkward silences and what to do. Confessed I had feelings for this girl while taking a train ride to the mall after some early afternoon classes. I imagine that my anxiety and just wanting to say itness came off as quite surprising and overbearing that when she didn't say anything for a few seconds I just got off the train, which had thankfully come to a stop after I said it. I was an idiot, but at least I said it. Love is teamwork. It's not you vs me, it's us vs the problem. I just realized, even though this is not nearly the first time I've read this, that I handle any and all arguments this way. I try to both make sure the other person understands my reasoning as much as possible, and that they explain their reasoning as clearly as possible, so we can come to a conclusion that works for both of us. If you're ever thinking about dating someone, look at their parents and ask yourself if you really want them dipping their toes in your gene pool. From my mother. Something I heard on a podcast, can't remember which one now, about how to keep perspective in a long-term relationship. If the last date you went on with them was your first date, would you want a second? It was meant to be a litmus test for whether or not you're actually still into a relationship or just going through the motions out of habit, but actually thinking of the inverse. If she would want a second date with me after our last one has really pushed me to put in consistent effort with my girlfriend over the years. Luckily, anytime I ask myself this about her, the answer has unequivocally been yes. Edit. I think I remembered which podcast it was. You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. It was one of the episodes with Emily Gordon, but I don't know which. Nothing seems so bad after a good meal and a nap. This was spoken to me by my now deceased father. If I was struggling with anything, he'd always say, have something to eat and take a nap, then come back to it. And you know it always worked for me in some capacity. Don't worry about dating until you're content alone. If you're looking to date just to be with someone, you probably shouldn't be looking to date. You should want to be with that person, not just be with a person. Goes doubly if you're recently out of a relationship. It's a numbers game, and the best way to succeed is to learn to give and take rejection well. A lot of dating is just ice cream and spaghetti situations. They are both delicious, but not necessarily together. Maybe ice cream needs hot fudge, and spaghetti needs meatballs. In other words, don't stick around. If you get the feeling things aren't right for you, you don't need a big reason to leave. Lots of people are great, just not as a partner for you. Be direct and polite letting someone go, but that is really all you are responsible for. They may beg you for a reason, but most of the time, like I said, there really isn't one. Ice cream and spaghetti. By the same logic, learn to see people deciding not to keep seeing you as not necessarily personal. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. Don't stick your pee-pee in crazy. If you have an unquenchable thirst for crazy, then be as careful as possible and anticipate any possible problem that could arise from it. There's a high probability that maintaining a high school relationship after one of you moves away for college is not going to work. Communication is important, but only on a foundation of compatibility. And while relationships take work, it shouldn't feel like a work. My mom, happily married for many years. Basically, you cannot talk through fundamental differences and shouldn't compromise on your financial habits, hobbies, interests, social energy, hopes, and dreams in life, like too many couples do because my sister, guys don't go for the prettiest girl in the room. They go for the prettiest available girl in the room. Basically, if you want him to want you, make it obvious to him that you're interested if he is. If he's not, then you'll know and can move on to someone else. A couple things from two different people from different walks in life. Make sure your lives are going in the same direction. It doesn't matter how much you like each other, if they are not going in the same direction, you two will eventually have to split up your paths or make compromises. Never rush anything. Make sure you find out about their criminal record before you marry them. Don't sweat the small things, but also voice your concerns. When you date people, there are going to be little nuances or things they do that might drive you crazy or annoy you, such as leaving cupboard doors open, not tightly shutting jar lids. You need to simply accept these things rather than letting the annoyance build up over time and poisoning the relationship. However, you also need to talk to your partner and mention these. If you bring it up a little in a conversation, they will probably try to fix this, and it's important to let them know to voice their concerns too. If you let it build up and end up yelling about it, it will just make them resentful. TL. Doctor, let things go, but don't shy away from politely bringing problems up. Actually be yourself. It's so cliche, but it actually changed my entire dating life, and I met my wife soon after. Spent way too much time acting like someone I thought ladies would like more. It's the stupidest thing to do, because you're literally getting people to like someone who isn't you, and that never lasts. You are just prolonging rejection, and worse, you might be missing out on someone who finds your unique quirks or whatever very attractive. When you are truly just being yourself, you might get a lot more quick rejections, but honestly that's better in the long run and doesn't waste your time. You'll find you get much better real success just being yourself. Try to find a girl you like, not a girlfriend. I see a lot of guys saying they want a girlfriend, and I'm a guy. I suspect women can tell when a guy is interested in them as a person versus when a guy is pursuing them because they could fill that particular role. Even if you do fool the girl, it might not work out in the long run. I think I had a friend with this problem. He seemed to always be in 4 to 8 month long relationships, and I suspect it is because he modified his behavior in order to get in a relationship with basically any girl that was interested, and it took some time before his real personality came out and either he or the girl figured out they weren't compatible. You can fall in love with the wrong person. People do it all the time. Be careful who you fall in love with. Also, relationships don't fail because people change. Relationships fail because people don't change. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in relationships who are just waiting for the other person to change. If you have to change for someone, not change by giving up bad qualities, but by pruning off good qualities, it's not going to last, and it will end miserably. Be the best version of yourself. You'll end up being someone else's one, and you'll find a great match. It may seem pretty obvious, but it took me 28 years to really understand it. Don't waste your time wanting someone who does not want you back. A lot of culturally influential TV teachers meant that if you try hard enough you can win her over. That's not how it works, and it goes both ways. If you have feelings, state them clearly. If they aren't reciprocated, move on. If someone has feelings for you and you don't reciprocate, just state it clearly. It may suck to hurt someone in that moment, but it's much better than alternative options. Got any similar stories? Leave it in the comments below.